Thank you, Claire, for being here today.
You're welcome.
So I just want to start off with some few simple questions. So I was just wondering, how old are you?
I'm 14.
And what grade are you in?
I'm a freshman.
And do you go to a public or private school?
I go to public school.
Okay. So first I just wanted to talk about kind of just a broad subject about part-time Indian books. So I was just wondering, what did you think of the book?
I thought it was really good. My favorite part was when he was playing the basketball game and he scored over his friend.
So I also want to talk about just kind of books in general. So I was wondering, has a book ever been challenged at your school? And if so, can you just walk me through what happened?
I don't think any books have been banned at our school, but last year in Com Arts we talked about a couple books that have been banned.
Do you remember what any of those books were that have been banned?
Harry Potter, Gone with the Wind. There was a children's book about these two penguins who were gay, and like people didn't really like that. That's all I can remember.
Yeah, and then did you just talk, just like name the books that were challenged, or did your teacher like explain kind of the reasons like behind why they were challenged?
Yeah, we talked about it before, and then we got with partners and we read one of the books that had been banned, and that was interesting.
So if a book was challenged at your school, since you say it hasn't really happened that you know of, how involved would you want to be?
I think it would be important for the students to talk it over in like the Com Arts class with the teacher to have a group discussion just to get their opinions on it. So then maybe the teacher can talk to like whoever is in charge of deciding whether the book stays, so the students can have a part in deciding.
And then since you named that you had to get with a partner and actually read one of kind of like the controversial books, what are some of the books that you read at school with those controversial themes?
Me and my friend Natalie, we read Gone with the Wind, which is like over the Civil War and deals with racism. And then these other two girls in the class, they read one of the Harry Potter books because that is like the witchcraft and all
that. And what did you have to do a project with like telling the class about the themes or anything like that after you read it?
Yeah, we had to do two things. The first thing we did, we had to write a letter to the librarian pretending that the book had been banned and like saying whether we agreed with it or disagreed with it. And then we had to write an essay over the theme of the book with quotes backing that up.
And what did you think of the book? Did you think it should be banned, or were you for other students reading it?
I think Gone with the Wind should be read by other students because it deals with racism, and I think that's important for us to learn because it's part of American history.
And then since you kind of named racism and some other controversial themes in a book, I know you were reading this for controversial themes, but for other books, does your teacher tell you anything before reading the book or offer an alternative book if it does have controversial themes in it?
No, not really. I mean, we talk about the book before, and she like lets us know that there will be racism and like all that, but our Com Arts teacher, they think, like, as a group, they think it's important for students to learn about these kinds of things, and I don't think it's ever been challenged, like, that a student doesn't want to read it. I think everyone, like, agrees that it's important for us to read them.
Are there any subjects or topics that you don't want to read in a book, and then why?
No, I don't think so, because I think it's important for all students to like have any kind of book they want, so they can like learn about what like different time periods to learn about that kind of stuff and what happened. You know, yeah.
If you found out a book was challenged, would it make you want to read it more?
I think so, because I would want to find out what people thought was so bad about it, just out of curiosity.
Yeah. And then specifically focusing on the book, is The Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian in your school library?
I think so, because for ComArts we had a project to read a companion book after we read To Kill a Mockingbird, and that was on the list, and I'm pretty sure she would have let us. I'm sure it was in the library.
Okay. And did any of the controversial themes in Part-Time Indian make you uncomfortable, or did any of them, like, you didn't want to read it in the book?
No, not really, because I knew that was part of, like, American history, and I knew that people and me, we need to learn about it, and it's just part of our history.
And then I was wondering, at school, have you ever read a book in an interdisciplinary setting?
No, not really.
Really? If Part-Time Indian was used in an interdisciplinary setting, what subjects do you think it would be taught in?
I think it would be taught in the ComArts for the book, and then history because of the racism and that.
Would you like if a book was used in an interdisciplinary setting? Do you think it would be helpful or not?
I think so, because you could see like different points of view from the book and like focus on different like topics.
So even though the book Part-Time Indian takes place in a setting that's not really known to the Midwest, and also some of the themes or things that happen might not be known or experienced before, how do you think reading this book would still benefit you?
I think it would benefit me because you can kind of see what like someone's point of view is from living there, and some people could relate because like some of his problems, like put in a different scenario, people could still kind of relate to, and his like reactions to the problems that he has could be normal, and people could relate to that.
So I wanted to go back to a question that's kind of more general to begin with. So I was just wondering, what are some important lessons or themes that you read in a book that you think are important, or that's been brought up in a class of yours?
Most themes that I see in books are like about change and whether it's good or bad for the character, and whether it's helped them. Like in Gone with the Wind, it was mostly about change and how she like moves from the city to home and back and forth, and it was kind of hard to find quotes supporting that, but like overall you could see like that's what the book was about, and it was hard to like figure out like whether it was good for her for the change or bad for her. It was just
Yeah. And then specifically focusing on the Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, what are some important lessons or themes that you think this book includes?
I guess like with change again, how it kind of helped him like learn something, and just like how it made him experience something else to see like a different point of view, and I guess just learning a different side.
Yeah. And actually, this book, a lot of what the main character, Junior, experiences is actually the author, Sherman Alexie's. It's kind of what he went through as a young adult. Do you think that's important to the character? Does that make it realistic or relatable that the author went through the same events that the main character does?
Yeah, I think that's important because it gives it more of like a personal feel, so he can like kind of like he can like write down what he was feeling and kind of relate it to the character, and how so it's more personal and it's easier to understand if it's true.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for letting me interview you. It was really great to learn some like topics and themes and what you thought of the book as a young adult.
You're welcome. It's fun.